The interaction of spirit, soul, and body is the basis of happiness. You will never be happy if your spirit, soul, and body pull you in different directions. To be happy and harmonious, it is vital to learn to understand yourself. To do this, you need to know the structure of your I. Now I will tell you what spirit, soul, and body are, their roles, and how to build happiness based on that. So, we are threefold beings consisting of spirit, soul, and body. And spirit, soul, and body do not exist separately. They are as if nested in each other and simultaneously distributed in 7 levels of reality, connected. Humans are multidimensional beings. Now, we will systematically see the human being as a multidimensional being and from the perspective of a quantum multi-level universe. Let's start with the spirit. Spirit is probably the most difficult to understand part of the triad spirit-soul-body, because the spirit is the closest to the unknowable God. So, what is spirit? Spirit is a particle of God, a particle of Source. Moreover, spirit is a complete reflection of the Source. In fact, the spirit is God. It is both a part of God and a complete reflection of God. How is this possible? There is a similar example in the physical world we know. It is a holographic image. Regardless of its size, the smallest part of the hologram contains the entire image of the original hologram without even the slightest removal or distortion. And so is the spirit. We can say that spirit is a hologram of God. The hologram of God gives rise to all existence. Spirit is at the heart of everything and at the heart of every human being. Since spirit is at the basis of everything, it is at the basis of energy, matter, and consciousness. It is simultaneously energy, matter, and consciousness, and it is more significant than each. Most importantly, spirit underlies consciousness. Spirit is a reflection of God. Naturally, it also reflects God's consciousness. Access to spirit gives access to the consciousness of the Absolute. Spirit is at the core of you. Spirit is at the core of everything in this world. Without spirit, you would not exist. So, God is in everything is not a figurative expression, but an actual state of affairs. Different spiritual traditions refer to the God particle, the reflection of God underlying everything, in various ways. In the Hindu and Buddhist tradition, it is called Atma. For many philosophical and esoteric modern teachings, it is a monad. In Christianity, it is the Holy Spirit. I prefer the word spirit, primarily because with an understanding of the meaning of this word, it immediately becomes clear what spiritual quest and spiritual path are. Spiritual path or spiritual search is the search and discovery in ourselves and the world of God, the supreme beginning. What are the characteristics of spirit? First, the spirit is eternal and indestructible. After all, the spirit is a reflection of God, the Absolute. One can't call it eternal. It is outside of time. There is no time in God's world. Secondly, the spirit has no individuality. For the same reasons, because it is a reflection of God. So in me, in you, in all human beings, the spirit is the same, even in the worst humans. God's spark lives in everyone, and it is the same in everyone. Third, the purpose of spirit is to serve as the foundation of everything in the universe. Fourth, the spirit dwells on the highest planes of reality, as close as possible to the level of the Absolute. Spirit is your highest subtle body, and it is with spirit that you are connected through the upper chakra, Sahasrara. Through it, you sometimes hear the voice of spirit, the voice of pure I am consciousness. In moments when you feel yourself, feel I am, without good or bad, without evaluations and comparisons. This is the voice of spirit, when you feel that you are reflected in the world and the world in you, that you are one. That is the voice of spirit, and no one has a stronger or less powerful spirit. One can only give more or less attention to its voice. When you are a spiritual seeker, your spirit begins to be better heard. Some encouraging conclusions that arise from understanding the essence of spirit. 1. The basis of your existence is eternal. You are an eternal being. 2. The divine spark is always with you. God is always with you. 3. You carry within you the whole universe and all the wisdom of God. Isn't that beautiful? Spirit is your divine foundation. For divinity to shine brightly, for divinity to be known and expressed, for divinity to be felt, you need a soul. The soul is your true self. It is inextricably linked to spirit. Spirit molds the soul to express itself. Therefore, the soul is firmly aware of its divine essence. In doing so, it wants to know experientially, to feel its divinity. That is, the soul knows how to feel. Moreover, feeling is what the soul wants more than anything else. The variety of feelings provides the maximum variety of experiences. It is for this experience and variety of feelings that the soul incarnates into a physical body. That is why a person finds himself in a variety of situations. Why would the soul want that? After all, it is love in its essence. Isn't the soul divine? Of course it is divine. Of course the soul is love. But to know love, one has to see the opposite of love, fear. So, the soul has to explore the love-fear polarity and choose a variety of experiences. Often, the soul loves a challenge. It needs to go to war to manifest itself as love, or to be born into slavery, to feel what it is like to transform hatred for its oppressors into love. In other words, the soul wants to experience adventure and be wise. To have a variety of experiences, the soul needs to live many lives. It is impossible in just one lifetime. As a result of accumulating the most diverse experiences and different feelings, the soul remembers all experiences. The soul's individuality is born. Everyone's spirit is the same, but souls are different. It is as if the spirit casts different shadows on various surfaces because each soul has its unique path of evolution. We should also take into account that the soul is a multidimensional structure, and it has higher aspects lying on the upper planes, closer to the spirit. It is these aspects that are sometimes called the higher self. The structure of the soul is formed there. The experience of all incarnations is recorded there, and the karma is recorded there. There is a connection with these aspects through ajna, 6th chakra, and vishuddha, 5th chakra. Some aspects of the soul lie below, responsible for higher feelings and thoughts. They are in the upper border levels of the astral and mental plane, on the boundary between heaven and earth. And the connection with them goes through anahata, the 4th heart chakra, that part of the soul that feels and experiences. 4 truths about your soul. 1. The soul is eternal, has existed as long as the universe has existed. 2. The soul's task is to feel and experience its divinity. 3. The soul has individuality, which transforms and evolves with each incarnation. 4. The soul is an integral multidimensional entity, which is structurally divided into the higher self. This is the systemic part of the soul. It is located on the higher planes of the universe. And the feeling part, the heart self. This part of the soul is located on the higher subplanes of the astral and mental planes of the universe. The 5th and 6th chakras, ajna and vishuddha, connect you to the higher self, and anahata to the heart self. Now for the conclusions that arise in understanding the essence of the soul. 1. To live is to feel. Don't shut off your soul. 2. To show love is to bring joy to your soul. 3. Remember, the soul keeps a record of everything. The soul wants to experience and feel. And what is the soul's outlet for living and feeling? The physical body. Because the soul can only feel here on earth, your soul is incarnated in a body because it wants to feel its divinity. How did it incarnate? It continues from the body because the physical body continues your subtle body. There is no living physical body without a soul. The soul does not enter the body at birth, but participates in the process starting from conception. Now, let's consider the body. It would be more accurate to say not body, but the mind-body system, or lower self. But I don't like the term lower self. Let's call it earthly self. There is a chain, spirit, or divine I, soul, as a part of higher self and heart self, mind-body, or earthly self. In addition to the physical body, the earthly self includes the etheric, astral, and mental bodies. That is, the mortal. Finite subtle bodies are also part of the mind-body system, or the mortal earthly self. These are our manifestations on the material plane, which we can record: actions, words, thoughts, and emotions. Accordingly, our lower chakras, Muladhara, Svadhisthana, and Manipura, work here. The earthly self is mortal. However, the experiences and feelings received as a result of life remain in the soul. And here we arrive at the central conundrum. The soul wants to experience its divinity, love, and happiness. Why is our experience on earth often so far away from divinity, love, and happiness? The fact is that here on earth, our physical world is a world of separateness. We live in separate bodies. This feeling of separateness, the illusion of separateness, is so strong that it extends to the connection between the earthly self and the higher aspects. The connection between the heart self, the higher self, and the spirit is lost. Many people have no connection to the soul and spirit. The vast majority of people only experience themselves as the earthly self. And this is the root of all darkness, ignorance, all that is called evil on earth. Why? Because the key mission of the earthly self is survival. For survival, the earthly self creates the ego mechanism. The foundation and basis of actions for the ego is fear. It is normal because without ego, there would be no people. The ego is essential for survival. But when there is no connection with the soul, the ego completely takes over. You begin to think that the ego is you. The result of living from the ego, living as survival, living as competition, is that life is not spent in a state of love, as the soul would wish, but in a state of fear and low consciousness. One cannot love one's oppressors. And it turns out that formerly enslaved people become the most terrible tyrants. An important point is that the level of a person's consciousness is determined precisely by the quality of connection with his higher aspects. After all, the source of consciousness is spirit. Consciousness descends to the earthly self from the spirit through the soul. Therefore, when the earthly self connection with the soul is broken, consciousness is low. The ego consciousness is formed. At the same time, one should never confuse consciousness and mind. A person can have a strong mind and a strong intellect, but the consciousness is low because there is no connection with the soul, and indeed, there is no connection with the higher aspects. That is why there are deeds of different degrees of cruelty, violence, and deceit. Even with a strong mind, life can follow the path of low consciousness, the whole essence of which is expressed in the words of Jesus. Forgive them, O Lord, for they know not what they do. Luke 23:34. Living in a state of low consciousness, of course, affects the soul and creates a specific experience of the soul. It leads to imbalance and karmic consequences, because karma is a mechanism for equalizing the soul's imbalances. But at the same time, the soul, even with severe imbalances, never loses its connection with the divine and inevitably reaches for the light, because it simply cannot lose contact with the divine according to the laws of the universe. Only at a higher level of consciousness, spirit, soul, and body, or divine self, higher self, heart self, and earthly self, are united in a system, are a single whole, and a human lives at all levels of the universe at once, realizing one's destiny in the image and likeness of God. The growth of consciousness is the restoration of integrity in one's soul and spirit, and vice versa. Restoring integrity with one's soul and spirit leads to the growth of consciousness. So, growth of consciousness and spiritual growth are the same thing. That's what being yourself means. Thus, our actual task is to become whole, to become a genuinely threefold being, living on the spirit, soul, and body level. And such a threefold system will be the one of happiness. The path to happiness lies in spiritual growth or the development of consciousness. It is the only thing that gives true happiness. All the earthly things of this world will not bring happiness, only temporary satisfaction. True happiness comes with integrity and growth of consciousness. Let us see how the soul, body, and spirit manifest themselves in the physical world. The soul is the driver, and it wants to drive different car models, race cars, garbage trucks, or even tanks, and on various routes, on the highway, on a dirt track, on a mountain serpentine. She does not know how to drive initially, but she has an extra-class instructor who knows everything about cars and driving. It's the spirit. But he doesn't drive himself. The soul chooses the vehicle. The vehicle is the mind-body. The soul selects the route. The route is a life scenario. It seems that everything, you have decided what car you will drive and where you will go, if anything, has a connection with the instructor. You just need to bring along a GPS and a video recorder, and go. It is not so simple, however. It turns out that 1. Just having driving skills is not enough. 2. The rules of driving have not been studied. 3. The GPS gives a lot of routes to the final point. Which one to choose? 4. When you call the navigator, it is always out of range. 5. The design of the car is also unclear. It's equipped with an autopilot. It is unclear how it works, but it is responsible for filling the tank and leads not on the route, but to the nearest gas station. The good thing is the dash camera works. Naturally, the trip turns into an adventure, a constant struggle with the autopilot pulling to the gas station, violation of traffic rules, and a showdown with traffic police, wandering along the routes in the GPS with incomprehensible prompts and attempts to contact the instructor. It is impossible to get to the point, and in general, there is an almost absolute probability of an accident, but it sure is fascinating to watch recorded footage. The soul doesn't give up. Time after time, it chooses new identities and life scenarios. I mean, it changes cars and routes, and it gradually learns from its mistakes. 1. Consciously returns to those roads where it made mistakes and corrects them. 2. Learns the driving rules. 3. Learns to use a navigator and to understand prompts. 4. Learns how to drive a car and understands how it works. 5. And one day suddenly realizes how to turn off the autopilot. 6. Finally, it arranges with the instructor to be in touch. In other words, the level of consciousness is gradually increasing, and then there will come a day when everything will work out. The route will be passed, and the soul will get absolute pleasure from the travel, like a great driver who is completely merged with his car, and the instructor will cheerfully say, "Well done." It is the picture of the path of your soul, which it has followed for millennia, to raise your consciousness and unify spirit, soul, and body. You now have a comprehensive view of the essence, purpose, and interaction of spirit, soul, and body. If you want to learn about the 4 signs of authentic, quantum, divine love, I recommend watching this video. Create yourself, for what you create will be with you forever. With love, the Darveta New World Project.